Hi, Mr. Farmer here, and we're talking about AP Macroeconomics, and we're going through this worksheet called the Chain Reaction Worksheet. This is part 2. First time we kind of did this upper section over here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and jump into what we'd already talked about. So we start with drawing an expansionary contractionary gap, and in part 1 we did an expansionary gap. We talked about that. So now what we're doing is the monetary policies and seeing how that's going to go. And depending on time, we'll go over the next little section. All right, here we go. So based off of the expansionary model, again, we're trying to correct for this. We're going to do a contractionary monetary policy. Let me kind of zoom in here. So when we say monetary policies, now that there is ample versus limited reserve. So the fact that I see money market over here is I'm probably talking about, we need to reduce that size again. And erase that. All right, let's see. So we're probably talking about limited policies. Okay, that's going to be things like changing reserve requirements, changing the discount rate, open market operations, those kinds of things, okay? The ample reserve, which isn't on this worksheet, the ample reserve is going to be changing the interest on reserves. That's going to be a U.S. specific thing. Or College Board also uses the term changes on administrative rates. And again, we can look at ample reserves another time. So limited reserves, we're going to be doing a contractionary policy in order to correct for the expansionary gap, which is kind of what's up here up top. So reserve requirements, we're trying to contract, we're trying to decrease the supply of money. So monetary policies change the supply of money. Monetary policies change supply of money. Okay, so reserve requirements, we want to increase those reserve requirements. Discount rate, we're going to increase those. And then open market operations, the Fed or a central bank is going to sell. Now, what I typically like to do when I talk about open market operations, because people get confused with this, is I just make a quick little thing. Over here, I'm going to have the Fed. Again, this is U.S. specific, this is going to be the central bank. And then over here, we're going to have the commercial bank. So we're going to have just a quick little flow chart here. Nothing too crazy, just one over here. So if we're doing contractionary, again, the commercial banks, they are the ones who loan to the public. And again, if money is in the supply, or if it's supply money, is money available to the public. So a contractionary is pulling money away, we'll do that in green because it's funny, pulling the money away from the commercial bank, because then that means they can't loan it to be out towards the public, because supply of money is, it's available to the public, okay, in different ways. So how does the commercial bank, why would the commercial bank give up their money? Because they're going to be getting a security, and that's what I mean by the Fed sells the security. They're selling it to the commercial bank. The commercial bank is using their money, their reserves, in order to pay for that. Okay. So how would that have an impact on the money market graph? So money market is the nominal interest rate. You can put NIR if you want. And then it's going to be quantity of money down here. I'll just do dollar symbol. So when we draw this, just kind of do the full thing, we have the transaction demand. So they're the... Can you tell I'm a teacher? All right, so the demand for money, we have the transaction demand and the asset demand. So the transaction demand, kind of do over here, the transaction demand, that's a T, is going to be, it's offset. This is the amount of money you need in order to complete transactions. Okay, some people call this autonomous consumption. I need to pay my rent, my groceries. I'm going to go to the movies, all those kinds of things. Okay, that's transaction demand. So we have this offset. And then the other part, I'll do this in a light blue, kind of over here, is the asset demand. That's going to be more kind of the investment type stuff, and that's downward sloping. Okay, so when we add those together, we get the total demand for money. The transaction demand is the fact that this is offset, and the asset demand is going to be this downward sloping portion. That's going to be the asset demand there. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. And then we have the supply money, which is what we are currently discussing. So as I just said, the supply money is the money available to the banks. If we're doing a contractionary policy, that's our current interest rate. Here's our current quantity. The supply money has decreased based off the monetary policy. So that's going to increase interest rates. Okay. So how would that impact the ASAD, and then how would that impact the Forex market? So we'll go to the ASAD first. So what this is saying is that the interest rates have increased. What's that going to do to the ASAD? Well, what that is doing, so interest rates just increased. What's that going to want to do? Well, just kind of think what that would mean. It means that it is now a higher opportunity cost to use your money. Hold on, I'm doing, which graph am I doing? ASAD graph, that's what I'm doing here. Okay. This is real GDP, too many graphs today. All right, and price level, aggregate demand, aggregate supply, Q, or you can put Y, actually usually put Y on there. And then that is price level. Okay, so we have a higher interest rate, and so that means it is a better investment. Just think logically. If you can get a better investment, a better use of your money, are you going to want to spend it? No, you don't want to spend it. And so because people are going to be just putting money into money market accounts, they're going to be putting money into other financial instruments, that means they don't have the money on hand. It's not going to be used for household consumption and business spending, and the other ones are there, but we're mostly focusing on household and businesses. They're not going to spend as much money. Also, just think about it this way, there's less money. If there's less money, you can't spend it. Just think logically for a second. So how did increased interest rates impact the aggregate supply curve? It's going to decrease the aggregate demand. Okay, so that is the money market to the ASAD. Now, how would this money market go for the Forex market? Well, again, what we're talking about is the increased interest rates. So if you're in my class, you've seen me draw something like this, and I do think it is helpful. So once again, we're going to have, I'll just use the United States and another country. I use FC for foreign countries. Okay, and then up here we're going to have the, I'm doing a color you can actually see, we have the Forex graph. Okay, so what's going on here? So the United States, they have high interest. Interest rates are good, so like we just talked about, it's a good investment. So what's a foreign country want to do? They want to invest. Okay, meaning they want to have whatever this currency is, so foreign currency dollar. They want to use their dollar. I'll put that in unique color. I don't know. I got purple. Okay, so their dollar, their purple dollar, they want to invest over here. But here's the issue: the U.S. they are only going to accept the U.S. dollar. Okay, they only accept the U.S. dollar. So what does the foreign currency first thing do? They need to submit their currency, their good old purple currency. In exchange, they're going to get back the US dollar. So there's money being pulled from this Forex graph. There's a demand for this US dollar in order to finally use the US dollar to get the investment. And what does the foreign country get back? They get the asset. They get to own the security, the bond, or whatever else it is. So how does this look graphically? So I'm going to do foreign currencies per dollar. And so the way this typically reads is that it's how many foreign currencies does it take to buy 1 US dollar. Okay, so the second number is usually this stable one. So the demand and the supply. This is why I like doing it this way. So what I can say is that this right here, the arrow being pulled away from here, that's going to be our demand curve. And the arrow flowing in, that's going to be kind of our supply. And you can use this as a little storytelling and narrative. So there's an increase in demand for the US dollar in order to complete this financial purchase. So what's that mean? There's an increase in the demand for the US dollar. So let's say that would be now, it takes 2 foreign currencies to buy $1, or $1 can buy 2 foreign currencies, whereas originally maybe it took 1 US dollar could have purchased just 1 foreign currency. So the US dollar has appreciated. So the quick takeaway is that if interest rates increase, whichever country's interest rates increase, that currency appreciates because their currency is going to be in higher demand. It's a better investment. This is going to be true for the loanable funds as well. Now, how does that appreciated currency affect the ASAD graph? Well, we've already kind of done that, haven't we? So if the foreign currency appreciated, this is from part 1, if the dollar appreciated, you can see the same ratios. What happened? Well, the other country is not going to buy as much stuff. So go back to look at part 1 as far as the Forex and the ASAD. So you can definitely get to both no matter what. Okay, so just kind of, this is what will be happening just down below. Okay. All right, so let's see what we did. So we had a expansionary gap to start. We did a contractionary monetary policy. That would be to eventually shift it back to the left. So we're trying to pretty much do the same outcome here. We're trying to decrease the aggregate demand curve. The contractionary policy decreased supply money. Because there was less money and because the interest rates are higher, people didn't spend as much. They want to invest their money into financial assets instead of going out and buying things. And that's true for the foreign markets as well. All right, until next time.